indeed, and I hope you will stay with us for the rest of the sessions and share your views with us as well. Thank you again. Now we have a welcome video from Collingwood. So I would request the managers of Collingwood to sort of help us with the video. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Brian Saunderson. As Mayor of the town of Collingwood, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the inaugural Habitat in Towns Collingwood World Summit. Our community is very excited to be partnering with UN Habitat and Urban Economy Forum to promote the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and in particular goal number 11, to make towns inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. Nestled on the shores of Georgian Bay, at the foot of the Niagara Escarpment, Collingwood is an active, accessible, inclusive, sustainable, and resilient community rich in history and culture. Our community enjoys a beautiful natural environment and historic harbor with more than 50 kilometers of shoreline, popular waterfront parks, and 70 kilometers of recreational trails for year-round enjoyment, hiking, biking, paddling, sailing, fishing, skiing, snowshoeing, skating, and more. Collingwood is home to a thriving art scene and exciting cultural events. Our historic downtown has a vibrant retail sector with art galleries, trendy boutiques, award-winning restaurants and cafes, and the historic Gaiety Theatre and the newer Simcoe Street Theatre. As a community with a proud history in shipbuilding for over 100 years, building some of the largest Great Lakes freighters, we learned the importance of sustainability and resiliency with the closure of the shipyards in 1986. We remediated the harbor, transforming it from an industrial site to a clean and vibrant recreational hub. And we evolved our economy from single industry-based to one that is diverse, entrepreneurial, knowledge-based, and multi-sectorial, with dynamic tourism, manufacturing, tech, retail, health services, the arts, and more. Town council and staff work together to promote and further community decisions that are progressive, accountable, and sustainable, protecting and leveraging Collingwood's core strengths and aligning with the community-based strategic plan. Discover more about the town of Collingwood at www.collingwood.ca.
Amazing. Thank you indeed, Mayor Saunderson. Now we have also Hope on the Horizon, a video as well from Collingwood.
We will transition to Mayor Saunderson's keynote remarks first.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Saunderson, please. We're waiting for the keynote from Mayor Saunderson.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you, Krishna, and good morning, colleagues.
Yes.
As you saw in the video, Collingwood is located on the southern shores of Georgian Bay at the foot of the Niagara Escarpment. We're 2 hours north of Canada's largest municipality, and we have a population of approximately 23,000 full-time residents and another 6 times seasonal residents. We were recently ranked the 22nd best community to live in Canada by a national publication, Maclean's Magazine. And it noted that 66% of our working residents work in Collingwood, which is a remarkable statistic for a small urban municipality and speaks to the circular nature of our local economy. The closure of the shipyards in 1986, after 100 years of operations, was a massive disruption for our local economy, and one that has been felt for many decades and changed the complexion of our community and our economy. And as a result of that disruption, our local economy today can be characterized as diverse, with robust manufacturing, tourism, hospitality, retail, high-tech, healthcare, and professional service sectors. And we have over 3,000 registered small businesses. And over the last 6 years, Collingwood has been ranked consistently in the top 10 entrepreneurial communities in Canada by a Canadian Federation of Independent Businesses for a community of any size. We're very excited to be part of this pilot project with UN Habitat and the Urban Economy Forum to champion the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and in particular, Sustainable Goal number 11, which is to promote safe, inclusive, resilient, and sustainable cities and towns. Collingwood is a community that is engaged and compassionate, a community that expects its municipal government to be progressive and responsible and to meet our challenges head on. And we are a community that has significant challenges. We are investing significant taxpayers' dollars in a judicial inquiry to look into 2 major municipal transactions that occurred in 2012, because our community believes the process and transparency are essential to accountable and responsible government. We are a community that recently declared a climate crisis because we understand and appreciate the importance of our natural environment and our obligations as stewards of our lands for this generation and those to come, as James Carpenter stated. Our community expects us to be proactive and progressive in protecting our beautiful environment. We are a community that has issues with racism, discrimination, and diversity, and has recently joined the Coalition of Inclusive Municipalities, a UNESCO organization, to start a community discussion about diversity, inclusion, and tolerance at the municipal level because it is necessary and it is long overdue. We are a community that is experiencing an affordability crisis, one where our most vulnerable residents are experiencing housing security issues and food security challenges, one where young families cannot settle and older residents may be forced to leave for economic reasons. And we are also a community that is resourceful, that has worked collectively to fight the COVID pandemic, to flatten the curve, and to support our local businesses. We established a $2.5 million COVID contingency fund, and we created an economic support and recovery task force comprised of council members and local business leaders. The task force provided council with 35 recommendations in under 3 weeks. Most of those recommendations have been adopted, and we are now implementing them. I go through these issues because I believe all of the foregoing challenges relate to sustainability in some form: economic, environmental, cultural, or social. And I'm going to suggest that all of these challenges are universal and impacting other communities in varying degrees across Ontario, across Canada, and across the globe. I believe that the sustainability of small urban municipalities is a global issue. We must recognize the critical role that the small urban municipalities play regionally, nationally, and internationally, and the importance of other levels of government investing money and resources in these communities to make them safe, inclusive, resilient, and sustainable. As the Honorable Lieutenant Governor Elizabeth Dowdeswell stated this morning, small urban municipalities, local governments, are the level of government that is closest to the people, is most connected to our residents, and most able, when having the appropriate resources, to implement change quickly. Using Ontario as an example, there are 444 municipalities in the province. 75% of Ontario's population lives in less than 25% of those municipalities. That means that the remaining population is spread out over 333 municipalities that occupy approximately 75% of the land across the province. These municipalities are the stewards of 75% of Ontario's landmass and natural resources. They are the harvesters and suppliers of the natural resources that drive the province's economy. The sustainability and protection of the bulk of the province's natural resources are in the care and control of these municipal governments. It is in everyone's best interest, the provincial and federal governments, make sure these small urban and rural municipalities are sustainable with healthy, vibrant, and stable futures. I don't think Ontario is the exception. In fact, I think we are the norm across Canada, across North America, and across most of the world. Small urban and rural communities around the world are the stewards of the lands and natural resources and the harvesters of those critical natural resources to the larger, more populated city centers. We are, in effect, critical players in the sustainability and resiliency of our globe. And now we have a new challenge coming at us. For many years, people have been migrating from small urban and rural municipalities to large and urban centers for work and lifestyle reasons. In Collingwood, we are already seeing that the COVID pandemic is changing that migration, and we are seeing people leave the larger urban centers to move to our community due to health concerns, lifestyle changes, and workplace flexibility. This will bring new pressures to the smaller urban centers in terms of housing, healthcare, social service, and infrastructure needs. These pressures will tax the sustainability of the smaller municipalities and require significant investment by the municipalities and by other levels of government to meet the needs. As has been mentioned this morning, it is one of the primary goals of this inaugural Habitat in Town Summit that we work together to establish a town leaders global network consisting of municipal leaders from around the world to represent and promote the diversity, prosperity, and sustainability of towns and small urban communities globally. To be a network of leaders to share relevant resources, knowledge, and best practices on critical issues and challenges, to support global learning and communities throughout events, to influence and share policies that impact towns, and to raise the collective profile of towns nationally and internationally. I hope you, as my colleagues, will join me as we work together over the next 2 days and for the months and years to come to create a vehicle for advancing the interests of towns and small urban communities around the world. Thank you, merci, and miigwech.
Thank you very much, Lordship, Worship Mayor Anderson, for indeed explaining the central role that Collingwood is playing, being a window to the world on sustainability. Of course, it is also an example of how, actually you can think locally and act globally. That's kind of a new phrase that we may have to coin, following the example of Collingwood in establishing the global network of towns and small municipalities. Thank you again, and I hope to have you throughout this summit. And now we have Tina Comey, engineer and counselor. She has been working as a wireless communicator, and also she's passionate about community engagement, advocates for policies that are focusing on women, families, and the environment. And may I then request Tina Comey to come to the fore. Tina.
Hi, okay, thank you. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm here with Prabha, and
Prabha,
we
yes.
are. Hi, good morning.
Morning, Prabha. Can you say a bit about yourself?
I'm sure, absolutely. So I'm Prabha Mattapalli. So I have a background in operations. I'm a resident in Collingwood, and Tina and I are just going to speak very briefly about a video that we've put together for the summit.
Wonderful. Looking forward to seeing that. Indeed, please.
Thank you. So Prabha and I are here at my dining room table, and we feel that's very fitting because this is where so many grassroots movements, as you said, to think, to act locally, but think globally. And so many grassroots decisions are made around a table just like this at a home. Decisions to make change, decisions to try to make a difference, decisions to lead. And we hope, as Prabha will describe, that our video inspires some of that. So many of us, if not all of us, are facing these issues that we highlight in the video. And we hope that the video not only encourages discussion, but more importantly, we hope that it inspires action. I think we're ready for the video now, Alex.
Change depends on our actions, on our attitudes, the things we teach our children. If we make such an effort, no matter how hard it may sometimes seem, laws can be passed, and consciences can be stirred, and consensus can be built.
Prohibiting discriminatory signs and flags in Collingwood won't stop racists from being racist, but it is an important first step in acknowledging our intolerance for public displays of prejudice.
And if this is a movement, we had better get moving. Lives literally do depend on it. Black Lives Matter.
We're called upon to authentically become the community we are so quick to say we are, but that at times we falter in the delivery of.
Are unstoppable, another world is possible. We are unstoppable, another world is possible.
Scratch beneath the surface, you will see that our societal systems, rooted in patriarchy, threaten the progress we have made and prevent future accomplishments.
Our town is speaking, and it is not just people of color. I am so proud of this town. It is everyone.
You here today give me hope. We're all gathered here today for the
reason. There is hope. The fact that the town of Collingwood chose to raise the IWD flag and has committed to raise it every year means the conversations will continue and conversations turn into action.
I want girls around the world to know they matter and they deserve education and a good life. I want girls in Collingwood to support one another and cheer each other on. Let's be positive, caring, and inspiration for girls everywhere.
Never doubt.
Of Gotham. Committed citizens can change the world. Indeed.
It's the only thing that ever happened.
Yeah, please.
I have a question on coronavirus, but first, you were just
Are we through with the videos? Yeah.
We are, yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much indeed. And do you need to explain a bit more on this, or can we carry on?
I think that's fine. If anyone would like to
please.
watch the video again.
Yeah. Thank you. So I'm getting nice, good comments and chats on it. Thank you very much. Now we'll have a brief break after a very,
Sorry, Krishna.
extensive, indeed. So we will have say about 15 minutes break, Alex.
I would just like to play a quick video. Hi, everybody. Alex here. Just like to play a quick video. It's on the gathering circle. And then we will, because we are ahead of schedule here, and then we will move to about a 15-minute break. So our gathering circle video first.
We are trying to make sure that the next 7 generations that are coming behind us. So these are children that aren't even on the earth yet, spirits that aren't even born. We want to make sure that we leave them something that is full of love, full of wisdom, full of honesty, full of humility, full of bravery, full of respect, and of course, full of truth. So the gathering circle is really about awakening that truth. When we ask that question of what brings us here, it's really spirit of our ancestors that wants us to come together in that circle to share, to learn, and to pass that knowledge on.
And it would represent a kind of a reconciliation to the land and the people who had made Collingwood their home for generations and generations before contact.
Duke is a very, very dynamic knowledge keeper for Indigenous people. He's a Saugeen Ojibwe elder, and he really had this kind of story that he developed, connecting the 7 teachings of the grandfathers to the 7 canopies of the food forest, and it was a compelling idea.
Those 7 grandfather teachings that are part of the canopy: wisdom, love, respect, honesty, humility, courage, and of course, truth.
we had a great conversation, and he was intrigued, and he spoke to Cal, and he said, is there any way you can incorporate those kinds of teachings?
We really didn't know how it was going to manifest until Cal took it from Duke to his Indigenous designers inside of the Brooke McElroy organization. And from there, we got the design that became a reality.
We try and identify opportunities in these projects for Indigenous placemaking, restoring Indigenous presence, and make sure that that work is actually being done by Indigenous practitioners.
And we had Indigenous designers who were working on the patterning aspects and some of the form work as well, and providing sort of advisory as the project went on, so that ideas that are coming out could be fed back to the design team, and there was a back and forth on it.
It's actually the vision and the execution of restoring Indigenous presence.
I think in the beginning, we sort of started with the idea of a canopy structure and a pole structure. And at first we kind of had things sort of on one level, but then as we progressed, we wanted to have something that felt less uniform. You know, the way that the columns are sort of tilted and off kilter, and the way that the panels on top are folded. Part of that is structural, but part of that is also giving some differentiation to each piece. And, you know, it looks like a forest in some regard.
So all computer controlled cutting machines. So it comes to the machine behind me here, which is a plasma cutter. And those files get turned into cuts in the actual steel.
For welding, each canopy, there's 7 canopies in the whole project. They take about 30 to 35 hours of fitting and welding.
We'll actually bring in a crane and drop the steel pieces on top and fasten them all together.
I mean, as a landscape architect, you know, my chosen medium is the natural environment. So, I mean, it's really interesting to hear Duke talk about the First Nations, the importance of the sustenance in the kind of living within those natural environments as a way of sustaining your culture.
In bringing these waterfronts back in as public spaces or parks, how do we also bring the land back to health?
The future is not in how much oil you can take out of the ground, but how best you can take care of and sustain the environment that we have now and the beautiful earth that we have, and we need to realize and understand that sustainability is the way of the future.
Trying to renaturalize the berm. We're trying to bring the forest back into the site. So we've done, you know, through the build, we've provided a naturalization planting on the slopes.
So as we went through this summer of both just analyzing the space, building the design, and then beginning on construction, we were also at the same time trying to figure out how to mobilize and organize 450 steelworkers. And not only did steelworkers bring labor, but they also brought cash to the project.
We were excited about it, although I told them at the time it's a pretty ambitious project for such a short period of time. And the steelworkers specifically will build the pathway leading up to it. It's sort of our version of the pathway to reconciliation.
I think the result is not unprecedented, but a really interesting piece where you have multiple Indigenous designers feeding into a project. There's something magical that happens when you do have that kind of gathering of Indigenous designers.
So my hope is that by creating a space where the stories can be told and where recognition can occur, that will encourage dialogue. Dialogue will create reconciliation, because I think it has to start with recognition.
Today, we have gathered to witness the official opening of the Awan Gathering Circle. Reminiscent of the Parthenon in Athens, but totally indigenous in its rendering. An example of collaboration and community that invites young and old alike to bathe in the embrace of its shelter and the ambience of its hospitality.
It really is about spirits coming home. And so we woke those ancestors up. And even though we have quite some distance to go where that relationship will be balanced in a very beautiful way, we understand that the relationship has started to walk together side by side again.
You know, architecture can only go so far. It's really the processes that build meaningful engagement that actually have an impact on people. You know, the story behind this is perhaps more important than the thing itself.
If we're all in that circle of Mother Earth, the most sacred circle for all of creation that's on the earth is all in one place. If we could start to remember that every individual belongs and that every individual is a part of something greater, then all of a sudden we start to realize that we're all kind of one and the same.